Welcome to Still Plays Galaxy Heroes. This is Grand Arena, the first match, and actually this is going to be all three matches of Season 64. I've been sick this week, don't really have the energy or the time to put all these matches together and make all the separate videos, plus it's been a few days, so we're just going to knock all these out in a single one. We're going to play these on accelerated speed so that it goes a little bit quickly, and these matches were pretty quick regardless. We were facing some fairly easy defenses this week. So we began this week, third-ish of the way into Kyber 2, pretty good position. We're not going to go through each of the opponents this week. Maybe we'll do a quick look, but we're not going to be as comprehensive because I want to try and make this video a little bit quicker. My opponent here, Casserole, 400k-ish more GP than me. Fewer Zetas at 324, but that's a respectable amount. There's one guy here at the high mark is 389. Low mark looks to be about 253. Amis, I've got 15 more. The high mark is this 56 here on Orcon. And then no. Alpha the Omega is 73. I'm kind of in the middle. GLs, my opponent has 9. We are in a bracket of 5 9GL players. There's 2 8GL players, me being one of them, and a 7GL player. With the relic units, my opponent is in a very nice place at 255. I am the low mark. I'm almost always going to be the low mark when it comes to relics. Just with my gearing approach, that's where a lot of my resources, where I'm pulling resources away. Now, with the tier totals, 1446, very respectable. We got 1937, 1967 as the high marks. I am not the low mark. The low mark is 1165. My opponent's distribution, 47 tier 3s, 84 tier 5s, and that's the bulk of it. He does have more tier 9s, but we are seeing a healthy amount of relics in this tier 5 range. So we're actually kind of close on the high end, which is going to make things a little bit easier in this matchup. With the 6-dot mods, we have similar counts. The averages are better on his end. And overall, I'm kind of in the middle, but lower middle. Top 500, I'm in the upper half. Then looking at these counts, really nice mods by my opponent, beating me in every metric here, which is not usually how things go. And actually, with the low count on his mods at this 682, that means he's been very efficient with the mods. So that's very good modding on this opponent. Datacrons, low participation, very low participation, probably the lowest participation in the bracket. We got 2 players without Ahsoka, 1 player without Lord Vader, and I am the only player without Rey. My opponent has everything, and they're looking pretty good. Amis, we got single Ami on Melgus, we got Radis, Iden, triple Star Killer at 303 speed, we have nothing on Dash, Wampa Savage, Treya, nothing on Afra, Qui-Gon, single Swallow, nothing on Zori, single on third, Krex, double Malicos, we got Drogon, double Baudelaire, double Bane, nothing on Jar Jar, and a triple Cadme. So actually very weak on the Amis. That's going to be helping me quite a bit, and we're seeing a number of characters without Amis altogether, and a lot of these triple Ami characters are only at 1. Then looking at the rest of this, this looks fine. Everybody has pretty much everything. Fleet, one player in this bracket actually no Leviathan at all, and there is actually a 4-star Leviathan and a 6-star Profundity. Looking at his mods, with my opponent's modding, you can see that he pretty deep here. His Star Killer's at 303 speed, so we know that. But actually his last 300 speed character is Sortie, which puts him at 62 characters modded at 300 speed or better. It's quite deep. Am I in the 60 range now? I think I'm like at 55, 56. So he does have the advantage there, but that's not a surprise. I was expecting his modding to be very strong. Now we're going to talk over all this footage. We'll go big screen. Part of the reason I need to do this is my silent mouse stopped working. We got to go to the big screen. All right, step back in the footage for a moment, because what I want to emphasize here is the clock. This was the worst day of me being sick, so I put this match off to the last moment. I was actually hoping to just wake up feeling a little bit better and do the match in the morning, but I had very little time after I eventually forced myself out of bed to work on this and set up the computer and take some footage. So I have 30 minutes left. But what you see here is my defense gave me a shot. They will have to click through this afterwards. You'll see the results, but I didn't capture the footage of me clicking through this because of the clock, obviously. This is in a moment where every minute counts, but because my defense held, I do have a solid shot here. This first match here, we're going up against Cadme. We're shifting to Gas Crex for Cadme. Against these good ones, I don't want to deal with Luthen because it's not consistent enough up against the Relic 9s and Triple Omnis and good modding, which this guy does have. So we're going with this squad, which I'll probably just be using. The Luthen one, it's fun. You'll see me use this unless we're going up against a well-modded... I still can't talk. We're not fully back to being healthy yet, which you'll see in my play. My being ill is going to affect some judgment calls, but not in this match. Or not in this battle. This goes fine. We get rid of the decoy. Take care of Yoda. Yoda was being really annoying with the foresight, so I just wanted to get him out of there, partly because he was also weak already from the counters. But now we got to get through the decoy, but the damage threat is gone, and you see that we're just not really taking too much damage. Debuffs are, for the most part, controllable, and the protection isn't really an issue with Crex here. I'm going after Qui-Gon. I did the form up for the extra speed. Qui-Gon goes down quick. Not too many issues here. Alright, now the big thing here is we're playing the clock. We have Grievous on defense, unfortunately, so I can't do Grievous up against that Starkiller, which I otherwise would have. That's an easily countered team with Grievous, especially without Datacrons, which that one did not have. Like, any Datacron is better than no Datacrons. We're going to Third Sister this JMK, and this went mostly fine as I recall. I don't completely remember, but I don't think this had any issues. This generally goes pretty well. I went with the Armor Shred. This Fulcrum's a little bit of an issue. Now we already lost 2 revives. Fulcrum's gone from the AoE and the Death Mark. But we don't have a lot of room to work with this Third Sister. Alright, we got the Death Mark over on Cat, which is perfect. And it's over on Snips. They are doing a lot of damage here. I checked to see if damage immunity was there with all those buffs and debuffs around. I couldn't really see. Heal up a little bit. Alright. The Kenobi goes down a little bit messier, a little bit more in question, especially with how Fulcrum helped him quickly take out one of the Held by Hatreds on third. But we survive it. And then up against Third Sister, we've got Melgus here for an easy one. So far we're playing the clock well. No issues. My counters are working as intended. We are getting through it. My concern is he's got his Ahsoka on his back wall. That's something I want to plan for. Because like we could use like mercenaries in 3v3. I don't recall how well that works in 5v5. I want to retain my Bane in case I do have to go up against his Ahsoka on the back wall. So with these fears controlling things, I'm just kind of hopping my attacks around. Do the big hit over on Third Sister. Drain Life doesn't do anything to third, so I threw it at fifth. And get those attacks into Third Sister. and wrap this up in a minute. Definitely my preferred way to handle this team, especially with how common it is. Now we're going to see some bad decisions. Because here, this is a team that, because Grievous can handle it so easily, I don't want to give it something strong, even though I don't have Grievous available. And that's going to ultimately be a bad call. So I go in with Sith Eternal Emperor. I figure we have enough time here. I don't have a good Sith with him. We have all bad options. With these counters, it breaks the link quite early. And now we very quickly lose all these support Jedi characters. I'm hoping that... And then there's a revive, of course. And you know what I should have done at this point? I should have forfeited. Now, I guess we went down quickly enough, but I still should have forfeited. Because that's eating up clock. And now we have 17 minutes left. And now I'm getting distracted by the top territory, which I shouldn't have done. I should have just overpowered the bottom one. It's the reason I got distracted here is the Datacrons were weak, and the top territory isn't that strong. Problem is, though, even though these teams have easy counters, they are going to eat up a lot of clock. And these are some of the bad strategic choices I was making. And then getting Fracture on Baudelaire, terrible. Just murdered me in this battle. Like, that's never happened before, where Fracture lands on her and I'm just waiting forever for this Fracture to come off. Just killing me on clock. Clock, I really can't... Like, even if I had an extra 10 minutes, I would have been able to breathe a little bit more. Because we don't have to clear that many battles here. But you can see, like, we still have Fracture. So they're very quickly making a bunch of attacks, doing a bunch of damage. I go with it for the protect. Oh, it's not even protection up. He was cleared. Now we got 2 tanks down. We're going after Maul now. Take care of Thrawn. But we've just lost too many parts. Like, at this point, now we don't really have enough. We get a couple attacks in, but we just allowed Vader to... The Fracture gave Vader too much time where he was able to get going. And this is also modding. This is my opponent's modding. Like, his Thrawn getting that Fracture off when he did, how he did, that's because of the opponent having excellent mods, which was causing some issues. Can you chill? Then don't be in front of the computer. All right, now we're switching over to Leia. At this point, I've decided I want to clear these top 2 territories, which I still don't even know why I made this call. This was a bad call because there were fewer teams down below. And I just should have cleared that Palpatine. It's just, I didn't know how I wanted to clear the Palpatine. Because normally, I always have Grievous. Grievous isn't that great of a defensive team, but I wanted to try out the droid Datacron on defense and see what it was going to do. Because on 3v3, it actually did give me some holds. This, though, goes straightforward and fine. We switch to auto. We take care of Leia pretty quick. So this battle's fine. But it's why I got seduced by this area. We're going with the unlined Force users. This goes poorly, though. Maybe I shouldn't even say. Too late now. But here I throw in Fulcrum, which I think what I need to do is just do Kylo Ren. We needed to tank, and This is just some of these calls I was making in the moment that I don't really know why. Especially because we gave them is Cat an online... Is that a Rebel crown or a Force user crown? I didn't even check that. Alright, so we got one of the characters. Now we're working on Ezra. And what was going on there is with the clock, I didn't realize Rey was in her stance. And I just wasted a bunch of good abilities that we could have saved for after she came out of the stance. But this is just... And once again, we're kind of just like stuck in this moment. But that goes terribly. I didn't even see how much clock was left. But we're basically down to 10 minutes or less. And we have 3 battles to win. This goes fine. I was a little... Or I don't even remember if he had a good crown or not, but we play this as standard, as per usual. Fix this camera. We've got a new silent mouse ordered, but it'll be a couple days. Yeah, nothing really to address here. Actually, at this point, we could have attacked Jabba, but just get rid of the annoyances. Boba is a little bit more threatening than Chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum went down quick. We go with Afra. Did I stuck with this, right? Or did I last minute change my thought? I did. I changed my thought at the last minute. I knew I could just bounty hunters this in case I needed Afra to take out something else. But that's another thing that's just eating clock. And we knock him down, and we are at 3 minutes left. So you see the problems. So we bring in First Order to just blow... First Order's not a good call here. Why am I doing that? What am I going to bring? I need this up against Rey. I think maybe I just didn't... I don't know if this was clock or what. This is not a good call. I should have used this up against Rey. Because that would have quickly cleaned up Rey. Now I'm thrown in JML, which there's not enough time to do JML up against this. But you can see just the clock beats us. Another 5 minutes, I win this thing. Because now we have 2 minutes left in this battle. This will win with a full clock. But not with how much time we've got left. Because I gotta take all these turns to get Merc going. Cal Kestis going. Just doing all this nonsense. You can just kind of see like these flurry of bad choices and bad clicks from paying attention to the clock. Get rid of Mercenary. Now we still need to trigger the damage immunities. We need to go over to Swallow now, but we got 20 seconds left. And I don't even know why I'm so focused over on her right now when I need to be attacking Swallow. Oh, it's because of the marked from the strategic advantage. So we lose. Congratulations to Casserole over there. It was very well played by him. Just show you what we had left on defense. Back wall here. Leia and Trench, they do their jobs. We got the Stormtrooper Hankron. In the upper territory, we have GL Ahsoka, 4 attempts standing tall and 2 attempts with Zerg. The other thing that we see in this battle is if we check out this back wall here, you can see how much easier this would have been, how much faster it would have been. Like, I could have just threw GLs at this, blown it up, and we would have won this thing. But you know, with that short clock, I made all the wrong choices. But I really don't want to take that away from my opponent because he was a very nice guy. He sent out some chats and he did his job and I did not. So congrats to Casserole here. We are going to transition to our next match, the second match of the first week, Season 64. And with this one, still in the same range. We didn't actually drop too much with our skill rating from that one. And here, we're going to jump into... Actually, let's do another breakdown of the bracket. I think what we're going to do here is just look at the top end. We're not going to go through all the details with the characters. Less GP by about 400k. He has fewer Zetas by about 30. 2 less Amis. He's an 8 GL player like me. Well, this is a guy who is actually missing some stuff. With his relics, we're looking at a bunch of tier 3s, his tier 5s, less. We're actually beating him with all of these relic counts. So interesting as AGL is fairly focused. With the mod game, his mods are solid, but these counts are quite low, tied in the 25 plus, but the 20 plus, about 80-ish fewer, and then the 15 plus, over 100. Datacrons, he's low with the level 9s, but it is a newer set, so he might still be working on it. We're still in the middle of Conquest. No Ahsoka, but he has everything else. And then I wanted to scroll through this. We're not going to spend as much time, but you can see like a Star Killer. 301 speed, third sister at 299. What I wanted to highlight is this is the opponent who has the bad fleet, and that is going to give me an advantage there. So as we take a look at his modding, we'll speed this up in a moment, but he's quite shallow. Because there's his Star Killer, there's his third sister, his Chupio is his final character, and that puts him at 41-ish character, no less, yeah, 41-ish. To my like 55. So as we look at the rest of this, he attacked first, cleared the front territory. One shot all of that, but what we're likely going to see here is light participation. You can see that I'm also playing here near the end of Grand Arena. We got an hour and 20 minutes left. We are still sick in this one, but we have plenty of clock. I'm still sick right now, so I'm just doing much better. I think it was some flu or something that we were working our way through. You can see a couple GLs, nothing out of the ordinary. Things that we have a plan for. We're going to shift to the big screen in a moment. So we're dealing with Cadme to start again. We're going to speed all of this up. We're going to go very fast. We're going to make nice, fast footage. Because we're just jamming together 3 matches in this thing, so I think that would be the way that I want to approach this. So you saw this just a moment ago, Crex, Cadme, this is going to be fast and quick. We spent a bunch of time playing around with that Luthen counter, which I do like for the options because I don't really use it for anything else. I don't think it's very good on defense. I don't think it's very good on offense. But it being able to counter this team gives me other options because as well as Crex and Gas beat this, I would kind of like to have them for other things. They're a very valuable team, very valuable counter. So being able to have a little bit of flexibility is always nice. So we take out Pow pretty quick. Cadme doesn't have damage immunity, so we're going after her. With this accelerated footage, though, I don't know if we're going to talk much nonsense here. We might fit some in with some boring battles. Aerial advantage wiping out Qui-Gon. Oh, this got a little bit more annoying because of Echo and Tech with the added debuffs. They may have messed up Luthen, but they're not going to mess up Gas here. But we're forced to attack the damage immunity because they're under stealth. That's a little annoying. Definitely a solid version of the team. Definitely more of an annoyance than the Yoda versions. So we take that out without issue. Now we got Melgus, Leia, and JMK. Now this one, I think this is the one that didn't go so well. Or was that the last match? I forget. Or this one may have went cleanly. More or less cleanly. Or maybe that was Territory Wars. I don't remember. So we got the Torture on Kenobi doing the attacks. Trying to get our way past this tank so we don't have to worry about him because he can be an annoyance. And we've got that death mark over on Padme. Quickly knock her out. So now we start throwing our attacks towards Kat since she's the real threat. You can see some of the modding here is a little slower, and you could see that with my opponent's speed. Like, you saw the difference here between what my last opponent did and what this one did. And then a lot of that is the modding. His cat, this cat here, didn't take a turn until quite late. And it gave me a lot more options, and it allowed me to heal up a little bit more and protect my characters. Alright, now we got Bane here up against Leia. I finally was able to take Bane up to Relegate. This is all because of being done with Ahsoka. Now we're in this like little moment of time where we can start working on some luxury things. This point in the year, like always, like between March and May the 4th. So like a month, maybe 2 months in there, you can work on some other things. And that's something we're able to do here finally. So we AoE, knock them all out with that AoE, and now we're just working on cleaning up this Leia. And she goes down. Now the Melgus, another one where... How did I actually deal with this? Oh, this one I made some dumb choices, but it's fine. So I wanted to go somewhat cheap here. And I went too cheap. Because you can beat this with Jedi Knight Luke lead. But I needed to give them... I probably need to give them... I don't know. I needed to give them more. Maybe I should have gave them Jolie. So that they get a... Yeah, that's actually definitely what I should have done. Jolie... Maybe... Yeah, this is just terrible. I don't know what I was thinking here. Oh, I did bring in Jolie. Okay. I don't know. They went after Jolie very quickly. Like, we controlled the speed. It would have been nice to have Revan too. Revan with the swap to get Cal Kestis to his one shot faster would have been nice. But now we lost Cal Kestis, and now I'm just hoping Jolie survives long enough. He does. We get the revive. Do the basic to get through the cooldowns quickly. Like, this is just a terrible comp I used. I was checking to see if it was the tank revive, and it was. We're at 30 stacks. Now I'm wondering, do I want to burn one of the revives or do I want to take somebody out? And I decide I'm going to go with Revan try and get myself to a quicker advantage. And now, this is one of the bad calls I make. We're going after Marauder now. And Marauder has a lot of recovery up against Jedi, which is part of the reason why I wanted to get rid of him. But we're not... It just eats way too much clock. And it makes me vulnerable. And we're not doing enough damage. And I was doing that because I just wasn't feeling like we were going to get through the tanks quickly. And I should have just gone after Malik. And you can at some point I'm going to make that decision to go after Malik. And it would have been a much better decision to do that earlier. Because you can see, like, we're doing pretty fine up against Malik. And we're going to take out Malik once. But we ate up too much clock going after Marauder. So it doesn't matter. So that's something where my what's that word? Compunction? My compunction to not want to use strong teams if I don't have to gets me into trouble again. Like we saw that up against Palpatine in the last match, and it happens now in this one. Where now I'm bringing in JML into this. And we're burning two... Well, I guess in a sense it's one team. We're burning more Jedi, but a lot of these characters weren't going to be used elsewhere. But here's one of the things of me being sick. For some reason, I used Ahsoka here. I just wasn't thinking. I was like, oh, there's no team I'm going to use Ahsoka on. And and in the moment, I was thinking through, where could I possibly use Snips? And I just couldn't remember that I have Kenobi. There's no reason to bring Snips into this. But it was 100% my brain just failing to think of the team that she's on. Okay, we're slowly kind of figuring out which abilities that Malik is reviving from and learning to not use those. So using the inherited teachings is definitely the way to go to make sure that Malik isn't recovering from my attacks, and we definitely don't want to mark him. That's why we threw the marked over on Marauder. And going back to inherited teachings to finish off Malik. And now just auto to the end to wrap up Melgus. And we can talk some nonsense. So while I was sick, I watched The Pit. I'd been hearing a lot about it. Some of the TV show podcasts I listen to have been talking about The Pit. And, we've been finishing off shows. Well, I guess I should talk about some of the shows we finished off. You've already heard me talk about Invincible. Reacher wrapped up this past week, so we finished Reacher, which season 3 is back to form. It was great. Loved it. The dumb stuff that I like and enjoy. But I did finish that while I was sick, technically, because that was on Friday. But afterwards, needed something else, and I just laid in bed and cranked out The Pit, and it was fantastic. Because, part of the reason I watched it was I was watching YouTube shorts, and YouTube shorts, the algorithm had started feeding me House MD clips, which I've never seen, but I've been aware of and loosely curious about, I guess. So I did watch, I want to say 5 episodes of House after one of those YouTube shorts. There was one that was interesting to me for whatever reason, so I wanted to watch the show. And I guess I get the charm. I watched like a couple episodes, or I watched one and I was like, okay, I'll watch a couple more. And I started with the first season, watched the first several, and it was just so dumb. So stupid. Like, I didn't like that, like, every episode they're, like, breaking into their patients' houses. Like, this lunacy. Why is this part of a medical drama? And I wanted something... Like, I love Scrubs. That's a good show. But a lot of medical dramas are too dumb. And I don't like to watch them. Like, even if I don't know the profession well enough to know if something is accurate, I can tell when it's not accurate, at least in the broadest of ways. And House is not accurate in any way. It's just malpractice after malpractice. But I heard The Pit was highly accurate. So that was curious to me. I wanted to watch it. And I think episode 12 was out when I started watching it. And I knocked them all out in a day and a half of just laying in bed. Just that's what I want. And it's going up to a strong end to the first season, so that I'm looking forward to. So, okay, so Lord Vader here, that's just paint by numbers, whatever. It's very rote. Then we got Jabba here. I think I checked earlier in the match if that was a Hut Cartel Crown I need to be worried about or not. But what I've been learning is that level 6 is not enough to beat Kenobi or to cause Kenobi any problems. But here you can see that I realized, oh, I don't have snips. This is where I'm supposed to use my snips. And you can also see Mace Windu would have been really useful when I used Jedi Knight Luke. So just really operating at like, I'm going to say I was operating at like, so it was Saturday morning I played this. I was probably operating about 60 to 70% when I played this one. 70%. That was 70%. The last match, I was probably 40% for that one. The night before, when I didn't play it, I was probably way worse. Alright, so go after the marked. Take out Chrysanthemum, take out the Lando. Not the marked, whatever I was saying. Shatterpoint. Alright, I'll go for the Dispel even though I could have attacked Jabba, but I just felt like doing that. And now at this point it's already over. Now, did I watch anything else? Like, we watched Reacher, we watched The Pit, watched House. I guess that's probably all I pretty much did. I started watching the third Kingsman movie, The King's Man with Ralph Fiennes, but I'm not through that yet. Next week I'll probably have some things to say on it. I just like that series of movies. They're all just a solid B. Alright, so we're throwing the Isolate over on Phalanx because we don't want to taunt. Now attacking that generator as quickly as we can. I think one of these points I'm going to use Nihilus because I'm going to forget that I can annihilate while the generator's up. right now. Like, I knew I couldn't take out Jar Jar with the shield generator, but I guess I forgot that I shouldn't have attacked the shield generator. I'm going to blame being sick on that. It would be nice to have an Annihilate right now to take out somebody quickly. I kind of wish they didn't go down so quick, because it would be fun to get Talon up to higher stacks. It would also be nice to have this team on defense, which they were before, but after I moved Great Mother to defense, this team had to come off because I needed to have a counter to Gungans, and Great Mother was how I was handling the Gungans. Oh, JML here with no Watt. We're just going to Sith Eternal Emperor this. Oh, and then I realized that, I have to deal with Finzori. We can do Malgus. Oh, wait, you know what? I don't think I even did this. I decided I'm going to do Night Sisters because Night Sisters are fun. And I like to Night Sisters this. It's a little trickier with Rose and the Rose Ami. But if you're careful, you should be okay. Also, modding will help, and this guy's mods aren't amazing. And I just like doing this. I need to find my fun where I can. So I got rid of the tenacity up, so we're throwing some plague around. Rose is why this is harder. If Rose wasn't here, I'm not even thinking about any of this. But Rose throws the tenacity up, which affects inflicting plague. But right now, we just take our time, we start stacking our stats. And this is also why having low gear on some of these characters is quite helpful, because they die easier. Although I may take Marin up to relics for territory battles. Don't really want to, though. At this point, it's over. And we knock that out. I think I'm going to record the final match in the morning. I'm feeling the medication wear off. Some trouble submitting that one, apparently. Alright, this is JML. We're going to just set the Eternal Emperor this. We're bringing in some big boys. Alright, foresight cleared. Lincoln, a couple of these guys. You can see they actually do a little bit better than I thought they were. Kelleran shouldn't be on this squad. Kelleran works better with... Actually, you know what? I should probably double check that. Like, Kelleran works well with Ki-Adi-Mundi, who needs all Galactic Republic Jedi. But I need to... Oh, actually, I think the stacks of whatever his thing is affected by Galactic Republic Jedi. Like, Kelleran shouldn't be with this squad. But he's not nothing. And they did do a lot of work on a lot of those Jedi characters. Or not those Jedi characters, those Sith characters. We brought in a bunch of Sith tanks, and they just did not hold up all that well. Alright, top territory. Got this, we can just blow it up with another GL. Oh, we want mercenaries to have a little bit of tiny fun. Oh, not even mercenaries. We could change my mind again. Okay. Well, we'll briefly talk about the news that CG put out. Well, I think I might put a video up on that. Right? I mean, I would definitely if I had been healthy. It would already be up. The focus datacrons, those were a thing where the cost is pretty steep. It's going to be pretty difficult for free-to-play players to get those and other things out of the episode shipment store. And I actually think it's something that the community should complain about, because what it in effect means, if you were to buy up even 2 or 3 of those datacrons, it's a major deduction in the resource income we were receiving from Galactic Challenges. It was basically equal, depending on what your purchases were, if you were trying to purchase similar things with the old system for free-to-play players. Now, you're basically deciding between, do you have a similar resource income, or are you going after these datacrons? It is also why I was advocating, if you watched my talk video when the episode shipment was originally released, I said, save your currency. And I've been hoarding it. I've got about 70k right now. It is because we saw this with like Galactic or with Conquest. Conquest was something where they first released the mode. There were no characters. I hoarded all my currency. Then Conquest released Cat and became a character release thing, where then it was very useful to have hoarded up some of that currency versus like someone like my brother who burned all of it on signal data or whatever at the time, and he was not able to unlock Cat as quickly. And these days, Conquest is not as big of a deal. If you have a mature account, you're not going to really have any issues with Conquest. But at that point, Conquest was a problem for my account. Like, we still red crated every time, but it was a lot more work. Alright, what did we just Leviathan that? No, we scythed that. Okay. Probably should have been talking about my thought process on that. This is a battle that is more common, where it would have been less relevant for me to have been talking over. Yeah, but with that scythe battle, the big thing is you just got to take out the punishing one as quickly as you can. And as long as you take that out, then you're usually going to be safe. I like to stun the Razor Crest with my reinforcement. But the big thing is, if you take out the punishing one, you can clean it up. If you do not take out the punishing one and the Razor Crest, a weaker fleet is going to struggle up against it. So it's not a huge issue if you fail. It's a huge issue if you fail and you fail to take out anything. Yeah, so we knocked this stuff out. This next one here, the profundity. This I misplay. Because there's one thing I usually do in this battle that I fail to do. On the capital ship's first turn, I like to go with the second special to put up the reinforced hull. That usually is enough to make sure you don't lose your Y-wing, and I lose my Y-wing because of it. So we need to bring out the bomber. We have now taken out the Y-wing. Now we're working on the Outrider, trying to do that as quickly as possible. We're just trying to control the assists. Now we got Cass. Getting really terrible RNG on the assist. Like, we should have been able to take out the Outrider on that, but we didn't. And right there, that should have been another situation where we were getting assists. Like you can just see, like, terrible RNG. Lost the bomber. Outrider's finally gone. But we get through it, and we've got our win. Because at this point, my opponent has 22 minutes left. He has clearly played all he is going to play. And even if he was going to return, he wasn't going to clear that in 22 minutes. And for the final match of this first week, I was feeling a little better during this one. Entering the match as 1-1 with my opponent Corones. Their mods were, I think, pretty decent as I recall. We'll accelerate the speed in a moment. Like, he's at 47 characters. CLS is his last 300 speed character. So compared to my roster, fairly shallow, and I'm in that 55-ish range. With the defense, how did this match go? I'm recording this way after the fact, so I gotta try and remember anything about this. Just quickly clicking through my defense, but I made no changes. We're looking at Qui-Gon, Finzori, Maul, Tuskens, relatively easy front wall. The bottom area we're looking at Gas, Rey, Cadme, and Zerg. I'm starting to remember this. I remember what happened with this match. Okay. So we're going to play Cadme safe. We're going with Gas, Krex. It's probably just going to be how I play it now. Especially now that we're seeing these higher level Cadmes are much more common. This is just pretty safe. Whereas Saw Luthen consistently works for me on everything below Relic 9, so it's something that I might consider in a different context, maybe going up against different versions. You know what, we need to go full screen. So Saw Luthen, as I record this, it's already been 2 matches into the second week. And I went up against a really good one. And I might just move them to defense. I think that might ultimately be the better call, but not with the ones that I have. I don't think mine would be particularly good on defense. I need them faster. I need higher relics, which is something that we're working on right now, but I don't know. Because now that we're clearly in Legendary Mace, like in the phase of Legendary Mace Windu, we're going to start making adjustments and plans for it. I don't think we're going to get any, like that slow drop of prerequisites. I don't think we're going to get any of those anytime soon. So we definitely have an opportunity to make some changes, but we got to still start building up that signal data, and we're not going to have a lot of opportunities to spread those resources elsewhere. I do think that I can take a lot of the Rey requirements up to relics. Like, we're basically there right now. We put on all, everybody's at gear 12. We have all the left side pieces. We're just working on the right hand pieces. Kairos aren't really a big deal, where I can stay ahead of that for the most part. I think we're in something where I could safely take all those resistance characters up to relics, but not increase their relic levels. But one thing I should say here, Kelleran is not a good choice for this squad. Kelleran is much better with all Jedi, and putting him in here, parts of his kit aren't functioning. You can see easy, safe. It's just how I'm going to probably be playing it for the foreseeable future. Now Rey here, we got Fulcrum with that Fulcrum Cron, which has been annoying, but And we do have L3, so there's certain characters in the squad that aren't going to have the greatest synergy, which might help make things a little bit easier. I gotta sneeze. Excuse me. We're going to make this even faster. Because since we're blocking so many of these battles into a single video, I don't want this video to be longer than it has to be. So sortie with the taunt, we're kind of forced into it. Controlling Swallow. We got one big throw. I'm going to chuck it at Fulcrum because Fulcrum is super annoying with that Kron. I was hoping to trigger things, but we didn't get any of that. Plus the Saber Throw doesn't really do anything to Exile. So we're going to... I chuck that at Exile. I probably would take that back. I don't feel like I've been playing this team particularly well. I feel like my win rate has been poor with it. I don't know if that's just me or what. Alright, they do the big attack. I get to drop. Alright, Exile's down, but we've lost a lot of friends. We gotta wait for that damage immunity to come off. We're in a decent cleanup situation, but, you know, maybe it would be better. I've been trying not to do SOKR there because if I have to go up against Ahsoka or if I have to go up against Leia, and I only really have one counter. So, or if I used SOKR up against Rey, I would only have one counter. Because I would need Bane and SOKR to take on that kind of scenario. At least safely. Now this is something I like doing, but it's risky, especially up against good mods. And this opponent, I think, had good mods. Oh, we didn't do a review. I shouldn't have done this. I did it for fun because it's relatively safe, even though there is risk. I didn't have to do it, though. And I shouldn't have done it because of what's going to ultimately happen with this match. I still haven't made the adjustment that I should be playing for banners. I just don't like playing that way. It's not as fun. I'm going for a clear, but the clear... More often these days than it ever was before, the clear is not enough. In the past, a clear would usually be enough for me to secure a win. Yeah, so we knock out those guys quick. Shifting over to gas. Am I really going to do that? This feels like a complete... I doubt I do this. This is such a waste. This is what I did? Alright. Alright, so going after fives. Can you stop getting your fur everywhere? Okay. Then don't always be here. Yeah, see, there's nothing to talk about there. It's just kind of completely unnecessary. I would like a cheaper gas counter. Like, we could use Melgus or something. No, Melgus has some risk. It's not exactly clean. So Kellerin is a pretty decent cleanup on a number of GLs. Doesn't work on all of them. But like Leia, Rey, definitely. JML, he'd be able to do it. I tried using him this current week up against Ahsoka. It does not work there. Don't do that. Yeah, so we're doing SOKR up against Jabba, partly because my opponent's got a good Datacron on it. And I was expecting I would need to do this. Like, I could try JMK, but it's a little riskier now with the newer Datacron. If you don't want to be pet, don't be in front of the computer. Yeah, we're just kind of knocking these guys out, and it doesn't matter at all. The strong counter. So next we've got, okay, we're looking at Third Sister up against JMK. Usually pretty safe. Kind of depends on where the death mark lands. And actually, I think this one didn't go well. Alright, so Kenobi's down, death mark's over to Cadme. Death mark has shifted over to Snips. No, I think this one's fine. I think it's a different, or maybe it was the last match, the one with Fulcrum. Okay, now we need Death Mark to come off, which is annoying, so we're... Oh yeah, no, this is the one that I was thinking of, yeah. Just somehow we get into the situation where Ahsoka knocks out a bunch of characters, and now we're in a situation where I don't have enough Inquisitors left over to take out Kenobi. One of those kinds of situations where upping my relics would be helping out my teams a lot more. Also, I don't have the best mods on my Third Sister, something I'm working on. A lot of characters need the same mods. Although, it wasn't just her mods that were a problem there. Like, her mods didn't cause Grand Inquisitor to go down. Now, this works. This is... As long as it's a one-on-one, Wampa can win this. I've done this a number of times. No, actually, it's not that often. It really happens maybe once or twice a year where I need to do this. Yeah. Easy cleanup. If anybody else is around, though, it doesn't work. You need that 1v1 boost. Trey Gungan. This is one of those things that I hate that I have to do. I guess maybe it makes sense. Like, Jar Jar is a journey guide character. He's a legendary character where it makes sense you need to use a high quality team. It just also feels at the same time like I don't want to use something like that. I mean, at least it is a counter with no legendaries. It's just I really like this team and would prefer to use it elsewhere. We targeted that character for the loyal hand stacking because I do have the Ami on Talon. Talon's a character I'd love to get higher relics. Really, a number of these characters. Like I've got a relic 3, Nihilus and Scion. I'd like to get them higher. Scion definitely will with the current or the new Datacron set. He'll get to relic 5 minimum, so we can use it. Alright. Okay, shield generator's gone. Now we can annihilate. We'll take out Jar Jar. And the rest of these will fall quick. Now up top, we got some relatively easy things. I think I may do... I think I do one more thing. I think I do some testing on one of these teams. Or maybe I play it clean. But we've dropped now 3 battles, which is more than I should up against an opponent who has set a defense this week. Because with a defense this week, I can just assume that he's going to do pretty well on offense. He's got the firepower he needs to clear anything that I have. And really, when I'm going up against an opponent with a weaker defense, I should be playing this as if I need to one-shot everything, which I wasn't. Well, really, other than Finn. Because the other ones, those would have gone the same way regardless. Alright, we're JMLing. Maybe I should have undersized some of these things. I don't think this was particularly close. We'll do a recap of the week after this. Kelrun would be much better here. Yoda would be more annoying on that Cadme team. It wouldn't have affected the gas counter, but it affects other ones. I should have taken one of these guys off. Even 2. Alright, we got Tuskens and Maul. Oh, I remember the other thing I do. Because, of course, when I see Maul, I want to do one very specific thing, which has some inherent risk these days. So we're just blowing this up with Bane. This is way more than we need. But when I see Maul, I want to do JTR Swallow, which I just need to not do anymore, or I need to take R2 off of my Leia team, because this doesn't really work without R2. R2 is a key component to this squad. So far, this is going the way it should. I want all of the attacks focused on to JTR because she can't die, and that's the purpose of R2. R2 directs those attacks there. I don't really care if these other characters die. They're not the main part. Here, that was just terrible. We did not get the attack boost. I didn't check the Datacron. He may have had the 15% extra stuff. But he's supposed to ignore protection. We didn't land a critical hit, and we took 3 attempts to make it through that. And now the condition has been triggered. Like, this would have been an easy win with R2. No problems at all. We've triggered the damage immunity there. Dispel. Now we can finish him off, but we've lost Swallow, which means we've lost our ability to ignore taunts and to ignore protection. Now I'm trying to work on taking out Django before he takes anybody out, and there he does it. Because that's a Gear 12 BB-8. Which will probably be changing pretty soon. But that's the situation. And I shouldn't have done it. Because I was playing as if I could afford to drop battles, and I couldn't. So we solo it to clean it up. And then an easy fleet. Well, no, that's not that easy. Alright, we've got Leviathan. Start boosting the damage. Saving the bombs until after the tenacity up is gone. Make sure to select the Razor Crest so we stun it. Punishing one is gone. Why did I do that? That was a mistake. We have sabotaged. See, that probably wouldn't have happened if I didn't bring out the Mark 6 when I did. It doesn't affect the match, but I played that wrong. Profundity Mirror, we're bringing the TIE Bomber. I might change up my defense at some point. The Negotiator's good on defense. But if I had if I could do the endurance counter up against the punishing one, that might help quite a bit. Because then I would be doing like Leviathan up against this, which would allow me to have what left? It doesn't really change the third battle, I guess. Okay. I go with the bombing because I wanted to take Outrider out of stealth so we could take it out. But it means the conflagration won't be sticking around as long. We won't be able to reapply it. I should be... Yeah, okay. I felt like I had an opportunity there. Normally I wouldn't have gone after the Falcon because I would have been expecting it to stealth, but with where the turn meter was, I gave it a shot. So Profundity cleared. And how am I playing this? I'm going Chimera, but this is not as good without the bomber. I'm bringing out the Interceptor to dispel all of the deflector shield. So now we've had several abilities be used where they couldn't affect the cooldowns of the Radis. Clear the Foresight. But we've now lost 2 valuable ships, and they've taken out everything. So that's not great. But I submit, because the important thing here is if you can't win on the first, it is good to mess up the cooldowns. Because even though I have only Gear 12 pilots on my Radis, this works very well if your opponent's Radis has the cooldowns messed up. Whereas if I would have forfeited, cooldowns would have been reset, and this would not be working right now. My ships would have been too weak, and he would have been blowing me up. So this is what turned out to be 5 battles that got a hold, which is way too many, and 2 of them were very avoidable. Three of them, I think, are excusable. So we get to 1741, which is not going to cut it up against the offense that my opponent has remaining. And looking at the history, actually, let's do the third round opponent, because that's the most relevant one to this final talk here. His attack, he did Sir Junda up against Rey. Well, no, that's my attack. My defense. Bo-Katan, Lord Vader, Traya. Like, that's going fine. We get holds with Great Mother attempted up against Cadme. That failed, and that does fail. I would not recommend that one. Then he tried Bane up against Leia. This is interesting, probably partly Kron related. Bane's also a little bit better with a different... I like Marauder, but this also might be related to modding. Cleans up Leia using JML, which is interesting. And he retreated. That is interesting. I usually find that to be a little bit riskier, and I'm surprised didn't lose anybody. And then with the rest of this, like you can see, he dropped 2 battles. He did drop some banners, though. At 1775, had I not been goofing around, I think I still lose, though. I'm probably like 1760, but it would have been closer. With these other 2 matches, looking at how my defenses performed, Grievous up against Trench, not recommended. Also with no Datacron. Tried Fennec Shand up against Zerg. That is... I see the logic, but again, no Datacron. That's going to struggle. A number of these teams, just no Crons. So this kind of explains why he struggled the way that he did. These are not sensible counters. Tries Ahsoka Mirror. I've got the better Cron. I also have Exile, and he does not. That is sensible why I won. Then the second round match, this is the one that I won. And he just barely participated. He one-shot what he played and stopped from there. But we'll wrap it up there. I am going to be putting out a lot of videos, getting caught up on things over the next several days. We have 2 kit reveals to do on Apo and Jocasta Nu. That one still needs to be put out. Then I want to give a brief overview of some of the updates that have happened, and then just the Grand Arena videos, of course. Now that we are fully healthy and I can put these videos out now. Because even in this video, the first 2 videos, I was somewhat recovering, or the recording of the audio. We'll wrap it up there. Thanks for watching. Be excellent to each other, everybody. This is Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes.